Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode 9 of season 2 on how to land a customer success job. My name is Frederike, and I have been working at LinkedIn, Miro, and Seismic in the last couple of years in customer success and sales. And I have been applying for customer success jobs, but I also have been looking for people for my own team in customer success management. And for that reason, I know both sides. I know what is important for a hiring manager to find the right candidates for their team, but I also know how the hiring process looks like from a perspective from a potential employee. And for that reason, I share these videos with you in season 2, where you learn everything that you need to know of how to apply successfully for a customer success job. What I will be doing in episode 9 will be that we will be talking about the team interview. If you haven't watched the other episodes, I highly recommend you watching the other episodes, especially episode 4, because there I share the whole hiring process and you will learn the 10 steps that are important in the hiring process. So basically, now that you watch episode 9, you know how we came along and what interview steps are already necessary and normally take place before we have a team interview. But let's get started. What's the team interview? You see a big yellow button there that says optional. And the reason is that this team interview is not always taking place. The reason why it's not taking place is that sometimes interview processes are a bit shorter. You have a recruiter interview, you have a hiring manager interview, and then afterwards you have a panel interview, and that's it. And the team interview is not something that is always there. However, there are companies that have team interviews. And for that reason, this episode will dive deeper into the team interview. So, what's a team interview? The team interview is normally an interview that is done by someone from a team. So, not the hiring manager, not the recruiter, but someone else. And this other person can be a cross functional team member, someone from the customer success team, but also from other teams. And they do a normal interview. So very similar to a hiring manager's interview, but you just talk to someone else. So let's dive in. So I said team member. So what could be a potential team member that is doing and conducting the interview? It can be a customer success manager from the same team. And that is the most likely option to happen. The reason obviously is that the hiring manager wanna find out, is my team compatible? Does the team like to work with this person? So they get a better grasp and understanding, okay, would there be good dynamics within the team? Another very likely option is that another customer success management team lead from a different team will interview you. They're in the same industry, they're in the same team, they're in the same market. There's a lot of, let's say, similarity between your hiring manager and a direct colleague from this hiring manager. And so they like to bring in some colleagues that are very close to what they do, maybe with a bit of different focus, but mainly very close. So they also know, okay, what is the hiring manager looking for and understands the hiring manager and their team from a different perspective. And for that reason can also give a bit more insights into, yeah, does this candidate fits from their perspective. What you can also see, or what you see sometimes, are customer success manager from a different team. But you can also see, and this is also likely if they add an additional interview, but mainly then it's maybe a second additional interview, is that you have someone from a different team. And this can be someone from the sales team, from the pre-sales team, or a different team to dive deeper into specific questions. So what are the objectives of this team interview? There are mainly 3 objectives. And the first one is solving question marks. So you had your interview with the hiring manager, and the hiring manager marked some notes in their tool normally, in their HR tool or in their recruiting tool. And there might be the case that at some points or at some themes, some skills, some experiences, some competencies, some values, they're just not 100% sure, okay, are you really the right fit? And so they have some question marks. Maybe they didn't even ask this question. This can also be the case. It doesn't necessarily mean that something is where they're not so sure, okay, is this a good fit? But it can also be that they just didn't ask those questions and they want to dig a bit deeper into those questions. So they will tell whoever is interviewing you then about those question marks and about those topics and say, can you please go a bit deeper into those topics ABC that I'm interested in to find out more about? And how do you look at these? How do you see this person answering those questions? So this is a very common way of looking at this interview, is just getting a bit more information and a bit more, is this a right fit? And that's what I wrote here as well, the team fit. So both sides can see, is it a fit? Is it a fit, not only hiring manager and you as a candidate, but also is this a good fit team in the team culture and within the team itself? And the third piece that I sometimes see in interviews is setting priorities. And this is that sometimes it's not only about solving question marks in those interviews, but also digging deeper into specific topics and more broader topics about the company. And this can be, for example, that one of those interviews is clearly marked as an interview around company cultures and how do you value the culture and how do you go about specific company values. So if this is the case, then obviously it's very important that you prepare for those interviews specifically, where you say, okay, if it is about values, then what are my values? What is important to me? What are my priorities? And how did I show having those priorities in my previous jobs, for example, or my previous experience? So that you have specific examples there that you can show and specific examples you can talk about. So if this is one of those interviews, really prepare. And not only by your experience, what I just said, but also looking at the company where you're applying to, what kind of values do they have at their website? Or you have someone you can talk to, so you learn more about those values. So that you really have those perspectives of saying, okay, these are my values, and I see the values of your company are A, B, C. So what I see is that we have a great, let's say, a great match because of ABC. So really going a bit more into depth and really making sure that you prepare well for those interviews. It can also be, culture, values. That's like one example. It can also be, do you have a strategic mindset? How do you go about strategy? Are you more on a tactical side? Are you more on a strategic side? Where does it show, or where did it show in your past? It can also be about technical knowledge. So sometimes if you're more applying for, let's say, more technical customer success role and not maybe that much strategic, it can sometimes be that they test your technical knowledge, but this only happens when they explicitly write this in the job ad. So normally you will see technical customer success manager or technical role, and then this is something where you have to prepare for. And then this obviously depends a bit on the product. Is it more that you need, for example, some HTML and CSS to do a bit of coding within the tool, or is it that you really have to understand the knowledge or like the architecture of the tool, going a bit more into IT, going a bit more about APIs? So this really depends on what kind of product you're dealing with, and also if this is a technical role or not. If this is not a technical role, you will normally never have anything in that direction and perspective, because any kind of things around this are normally not part of your job. And it can also be industry knowledge. So I know a company that they did an interview and they really wanted to have someone that is very strategic and really knows the industry, because they would be working with the biggest clients. And for them, it was important that this person was really a strategic advisor. And they wanted to make sure that this person is not only fit in customer success skills, but they're also quite fit in the industry itself. So they know what they're talking about, so they can really advise their clients. And for that reason, they made an interview really specifically about industry knowledge. So how much do you know about the industry? How much do you know how these different players interact? Do you know about what are the specific topics? What are the specific objectives? What are the specific problems and opportunities lie within this industry, so that they could talk about this. And for that reason, this can also be a very interesting interview and very important interview to find out, okay, does this person have those skills? So these are the objectives for a team interview. So as I said, sometimes optional, But if they do them, then they normally do them because they want to have a bit of a better understanding. Okay, is this really a fit? Having someone else interview. And they also sometimes set those priorities to find out very specific things that are, let's say, explicitly important for that specific role they're hiring for. And one important note that I want to make for those interviews, and it's very similar to the one that I made before, ask your own questions. It's the same, it's a fit on their side, checking if you are a great fit, but the same thing is true for you. You have to check for yourself, is this a great fit for myself? Can I really imagine working for that team? Can I really imagine working for that company? Can I really see this and see this as a great opportunity for myself and a great fit for myself? So whatever questions you have, ask them. And especially if you work or like if you interview with someone from the same team, I mean, you can ask all these very specific questions around how's the team culture, how do they work with each other, what do they do if they have specific conflicts, how do they go about decision making in a team, how open are they, is this really an open place where you can share everything that's going on, is this a psychologically safe space, as you sometimes say. So really trying to ask all those questions so that you can make up your mind as well. Because this interview is the last interview normally that you have before you have the panel interview. And the panel interview, as we will be seeing in the next episode, is really around you have to prepare a presentation for that. So this will include now really a lot of preparation. And also on the other side, this is then the last interview and you really want to nail it. And if you have to invest all of that time, and they also have to invest all of that time, and in the end, it just doesn't work, and you knew this beforehand, just don't do it. I mean, you can do this, practice is always great, but there are other ways where you can practice. Because this is always time on both sides, and it should be really then the final interview with the panel where both sides check out, is this really a great fit? But these interviews are great for you beforehand to check, okay, how are you doing? Is this really a great fit? How does it feel for you as well? So this was it on the team member interview. If you like this would be really great if you can give this channel and this video a like. I would be really delighted. And if you want to know a bit more information or want to go deeper into this, or you are at the moment interviewing for a customer success management role, just let me know, and you can find all the relevant information of how to contact me down below in the description. And for that, thanks for listening in, and see you soon.